Hi guys, we're going to go over passage 2, questions 11 through 20. The title here is I Got You Under My Skin. So this is a play on words again. This whole passage is about technology. You'll pick up on that pretty quick. It might sound like science fiction, but imagine breezing through airport security, paying for purchases, and unlocking doors with nothing but the wave of your hand. Recent advances in biotechnology offer the possibility of replacing keys, ID cards, and credit cards with a tiny microchip that can be implanted under the skin. So for this one, what they're asking is where should you put the comma? So once again, we have to understand what do commas do. Commas, once again, they let us know that information is non-essential, but here we have a prepositional phrase, and we never really need a comma to separate prepositional phrases, especially in the middle of a sentence, sometimes at the beginning. So the best option here is no punctuation needed. Just say recent advances in biotechnology offer. So this is advances, offer. Here's my subject, advances, and here's my verb, offer. We don't want to put any commas in between the subject and verb. Fairly simple question there. The chips, which are the size of grain of rice, use. So here's my subject once again, and here's my verb, and I have to have subject-verb agreement. So you would say the chips use all of this information based on these commas without fanboys is non-essential. So don't get confused on any of that. So it's the chips use. All right. So this would be A, no change. They use the same interface as current smartphone pay apps and contactless credit cards. Near field communications technology. So none of this stuff is NFC, just abbreviated. Readers are already in place at many airports and retail locations. They generate electromagnetic waves to access the data stored on the chips. So then it's asking me which choice most effectively illustrates. When you see illustrate, you're going to want to be able to visualize this to like draw a picture. So which choice most effectively illustrates the statement made in the previous sentence. So once again, previous sentence I had to read here. So they generate electromagnetic waves to access the data stored on the chips. This is the important part. So we're talking about data that is stored on the chips. So the best option here is that this information, so that's the data, it can include your identity, travel, itinerary, bank balance, and other personal questions. So this is my best one because it's literally letting me know what is the data. The data is the information. The other options do not make as much sense to illustrate that. In 2016, Dutch tech entrepreneur Andres Soderstrom, once again, don't worry about this guy's name, just call him Andres, whatever you want, became the first person to use such an implant to board an airplane. And then it says, comma, this is not moving, okay? So since there's a comma here, that's letting me know all of this information that comes after it is non-essential. So I can't have another subject verb like he swiped or swiped. What I want to do is just say swiping. This is a participle. So it's describing what he did. How did he board the plane? He was swiping his hand across a gate scanner at Stockholm Airport instead of using a boarding pass. So that is describing. There's no helping verb in front, so this is not a verb. It becomes an adjective to describe. Okay, on to number 15 here. Elsewhere in Sweden, the technology startup hub Epicenter allows employees with such chips the ability to open doors, pay for coffee, and activate printers. So this one is another wordiness redundancy. So it says employees with such chips. It already tells us chips. So all the other wrong answers, once again, repeat just in different ways about a chip. We do not need to say any of that stuff because we already said chips, so we don't have to say chips again. So just say and activate printers. Best answer is no change. Leave it as is. Keep it simple. The biggest benefit, I think, is convenience, says Patrick Mesterton, Epicenter's co-founder. Now this is a transition one. You have to know your transitions to get this right, and they're just continuing to add on information. So the best answer here is still other proponents. Proponents are people who are in favor. They see applications in the medical realm, implanted tags, could carry medical records, including information about the patient's drug allergies or existing conditions. Now for this one, 17, they're saying, which choice provides the best transition from the previous paragraph? So once again, I have to have read this, and now if we read here, it says we're talking about a nonstop potential connection to the body, and I can't turn it off, I can't put it away. It's in me. That's a big problem. So this is the key part here. Also, they go on to talk about hackers. So something being a problem, hackers are bad. Everything up here in all this part was how good this technology is. Now we're starting to talk about how it's a problem and then they're hackers. So we want to be able to transition from good to bad. So the best option here is that now there are critics, people who view the technology as a solution in search of a problem that creates its own concerns. So all of this is starting to talk about how there's some negative stuff here. So the best transition from good to bad is that there are critics talking about how there can be problems here. So go back here. Could hackers with surreptitious scanners steal your information? Are workers laid back about? So for 18, once again, it's understanding the vocabulary in the text. So comfy and cozy is repetitive. Feeling free and easy is a little too laid back. The best one option here, based on what's happening with the style of the paragraph, is say, are workers comfortable with giving their employees a trove of data on when they come to work, how often they visit the bathroom, etc. So that's the best option there. And our last two here, many of these privacy issues, we're talking about the future, they will need, so the privacy issues will need to be addressed before the general public is ready to embrace microchip implants. But for younger generations, so think about the younger generations, what have you guys done your entire life? The most logical step, second half, you have never known a world without the internet and smart devices. So younger generations, a tiny chip embedded in their hands may become yet another piece of indispensable everyday technology. So they're basically saying, because younger generations have never lived in a world without this technology, it might just be another thing like smartphones everyone has one now. That wasn't the case when I was your age. So you have to read, they're talking about younger generations, which one makes the most sense about younger generations and connects to what's happening in this passage. All right, any questions? Shoot me an email, reply in the comments. All right, raise your hand in class.